Hey, what is up guys, and welcome back to our Viking Let's Build series. Today we're going to be making a Viking style chapel or church, whatever you want to call it. When I originally was first going to start this, and I mentioned in a previous video that we were going to be making a rather small sized church. However, I think this is probably a decent size. It's not like a huge cathedral or anything, but it still is a decently large size build. So you're going to need to find yourself, I guess, quite a bit of room, but if you're wondering why I put this, I've just kind of slid it behind this house and then the stables over there. It's just kind of like a nice cozy area. But anyways, to start this thing off, what we're going to do is grab some spruce wood logs, and you're going to start your build right here. Now, wherever I place one block, you're actually going to need a pillar of 4 like this. And then for now, we can go ahead and ignore this circle right here. In the end, that's going to end up being a tower, but we're just going to go ahead and skip over that. So our next block is going to be right here, so we're going to skip a gap of 1, and then we'll skip a gap of 3, place this here, skip 1 again, and then for this right side, we're going to skip 2 gaps of 3, like this, and then coming over here, this is probably the only time we've done even numbers, but we're actually going to skip a gap of 2 right there, and then for this side, we'll skip a gap of 5, place that there, and then once again, going back to the evens, we'll skip a gap of 2, and then we'll switch it up once again, go gap of 3, place that there, and then for this back little corner section, it's going to be 2 gaps of 1 like this, and it creates that sort of, I don't know what kind of shape that is. I guess it's like a triangle, but yeah. And then for the back, we'll do a gap of 3, and then that's going to be sort of the center of the build. And then we'll move over here, creating this corner shape again with the 2 gaps of 1. And then, so now we're on the left side of the build, and on the back side, it's going to be that 1 gap of 3 right there, and then a gap of 2, and then we'll skip 5, place that block here, and then we'll skip 2 once again, place that there, and then we'll skip 2 gaps of 3. So we'll place this block here, separating it into those 2 gaps, and then that's going to be it. And now for our next step, what we're going to do is connect all of these pillars with a crossbeam like this, and we're also going to add a secondary set of pillars with our spruce wood logs on the outside of these pillars, which will look something like this on the corners, and then for the flat spots, you're only going to need to place one of them in, just like that. So really quick, one fix we need to do is right here. As you can see, these things are kind of colliding with each other, and they honestly look pretty ugly. So what we're going to do to fix that is delete these, and instead of just having this be a gap of 1 on the very back of the build, which is where we are, by the way, what we're going to do is delete this, and you can either have it be a gap of 2 like this, or you could make it a gap of 3 like that, which might in the end look a little bit better. So it's going to be something like this. So we'll place those 3 blocks in there, and then place this one right here, and then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So now that we have all of those completed, you should have ended up with something along the lines of this. So what we're going to do for the next step is start making our walls. And I've noticed that on the 5 wide gaps, it's looking a bit too open. So what I'm going to do is place a pillar right in the middle of this. You should only have 1 more of these right over there on the other side. But for this section, I really don't think there's any need to place in a secondary pillar. So if you want to, you can put that, but if you don't want to, you can always just leave that out. So what we're going to do for the walls is start out by grabbing our cobblestone, and we're going to actually put this all the way around the base of the build, and just continue this all the way through. And then on top of this, we are going to grab our spruce wood planks, and for this section, we're actually going to fill this in all the way. In fact, I'm going to fill in all the walls really quick, and then after that, we can start carving out some of our windows. Now, as you can see, all the walls are filled in. However, I did leave this front one open since that is where the tower is going to be placed. So to start putting in our windows, we're actually going to do one right here on the first wall we see. And by the way, I'm only going to do this one side just because the other one will be the exact same, so it's going to be completely symmetrical. And then our next window isn't going to be put in until we get to this wall. Now for this one, there's going to be 2 of them. One right here on the left side of the spruce wood pillar, and then one right here on the right side of that pillar. And then we'll end up doing a few on the back side as well, although I don't really think there's any need for windows right here. Although if you want to, you could put one in this little section, although from the inside, they really aren't going to be able to see too much. So that one's definitely optional, but for sure we're going to want to do quite a few on the back, since this is where the sort of podium where the, I guess, Pope or the priest will be. So we're definitely going to want some big windows right here. And we're going to start out by making them simple like this, but by the end of the build, or especially for the interior tutorial, we're definitely going to be making these really nice and fancy, maybe even adding some different colors. Since I know in churches they usually had like the stained glass windows, which looked really cool, and they had some designs in them sometimes. And now, once you're done with the windows, there are still a few more things that we need to do before we can start moving on to the second floor, one of which will be to place a block on top of the original pillars you placed, and then from that block, you're going to go up 2 more like this, and then beneath these, what this is going to allow us to do is place in a little sort of support beam that's kind of decorative, as well. So below those you'll place some stairs, and then on the bottom and top of that you'll place 2 cobblestone walls, and then right there in the middle where you have the open gap, that's where your fence is going to be. And that just kind of strengthens the build. It actually like sort of serves as a functional piece as well. But it also is pretty decorative and adds to the detail quite a bit. So from there, we're not only going to do those, but for these corners, I think I might only show you these since these are the trickiest spots. So we'll place 1 block there, once again, just to kind of show you how it works, and then beneath this will, of course, be the decorative pillar. But to sort of connect these, it's going to be quite simple on these spots where it's just sort of straight. All you really need to do is a, I guess, horizontal crossbeam like that. But for the corners, it can be a bit tricky. So what I like to do is usually take the same material that I use for the wall. So in this case, it's going to be spruce wood. I'll place that on the corner, and then from there, I will grab my wooden block, place that facing straight up, and then from that block, I'll just go over 1, 2 on that side, and then 1 for this side, and that's going to be the exact same for all of the corners. So some further details we can add to the bottom is some little support things, such as these stairs, or you can go a bit further and grab some spruce wood half slabs and lay these across sort of the top half of those window blocks, and then on top of these you can even add some fences like that to even increase the amount of detail you have. Now, on the 3 wide gaps, it's pretty much just going to be the exact same, so what I like to do is just place a stair on either side, and then for the top, once again, it will just be this little spruce wood slab section like that, and then fences on top. The first floor is done now, so we can start preparing for our second floor. Now to do that, what I like to do is start by deleting all of these little blocks that are sort of sticking up, and then after I've done that, what I'm going to do is actually outline this with our spruce wood planks, and I'm going to continue this all the way around, and then once you're done with that, you can switch back to your spruce wood logs, and then on top of every one of the secondary pillars that we placed in, you can do another set for the second floor, and once again, these are going to be 4 blocks tall. And really quick, before we move on to the next spot, what I'm going to do is give you guys a nice overhead view so you can pause it if you need to sort of make sure you got all those blocks placed in right, because I know sometimes it can be confusing placing these secondary pillars on the second floor in. And also I'll fly around really quick just so you guys can see, I guess, a closer view of what it should look like. And so now for our next step, what we're going to do is start making some cross beams and some sticky addy bits. So the only place that I sort of noticed might get a little confusing for this first step will be right here. And for this to connect it, all you need to do is go 1, 2, 3 right there, and then you can leave it like that. But for the rest, they should connect nicely like this. And then after you've done all those, you can start adding some sticky addy bits on the tops of each one of these pillars. And what I mean by that is just placing a block here, or even in the corners, have them like that. However, for the corners, try to have them face the same way on the opposite sides like this, so it all looks sort of symmetrical and nice. Now that we have all those extra sticky addy bits and the cross beams in, what we can start to do is fill in our walls and also add some more of those detailed support pillars. So for the support pillars, it's just going to be exactly like the bottom floor. Unless you want to, you can just do a simple pillar like that, or you can mix it up and go with something like this. However, for this case, I think I'm going to stick with the same one just because I believe they do look the nicest out of the 3. So what I'm going to do is place the block on the bottom and then 1 on the top. However, for this one, the only difference that you may notice is that we won't need the stair. So all we'll need is the 2 cobblestone walls and the fence. And then for filling in the walls, it's pretty simple. All you need to do is wherever you placed a spruce wood plank already, you just need to raise that up 3 more blocks so it comes to this and covers up that gap right there. However, if you want to go even farther, you could raise it up the whole floor, although we may be placing a sort of roof right there, I guess. So you can do this, but you don't have to. The next step for this is going to be to start carving out our windows. Now to do that, we're going to start on this 3-wide gap right here, and it's going to be the same for all the 3-wide gaps that are above the windows. So what we're going to do is start by placing a cobblestone wall on each of the bottom corners. Then above that, we'll do 2 fences like this, and then in the top corners, we'll do some upside down stairs facing inwards. And then for this window, it's actually going to be all the way up, so a total of 3 blocks tall and 1 block wide like that. And then for the sort of 3 gap walls that are not above a window, what we're going to do there is just sort of enclose it like this with the spruce wood logs. And then now for the 5 wide gaps, we're going to want to make these probably the most big and grand windows. So we're going to try to make these look good, but have them still be as big as possible. So I'm going to try to make this one 3 blocks wide in total. And then keep in mind the roof is going to extend up, so we can sort of round the roof, or not the roof, but we can sort of round the window up at the top, so this will end up looking a lot better in the end, hopefully. So for this wall, what we're going to do is place these two little sticky in bits, I guess you could call them, on those sides, and then beneath them we'll end up placing some of these stone stairs. And what else can we do to make this look a little bit better? I think we could probably do the little detailed support beam design. That might look cool. Just to sort of, I guess, break up the window so it's not so flat and plain. Yeah, I quite like that. So we'll leave that how it is for now. And then as I said before, you can do this for all the 3 wide gap window sections that are above one on the first floor. And then for the ones that don't have a window, you can do something like this where you just sort of block it off. And now it's going to be time to start shaping our roof. And since this is a church and it's sort of an important building in this town, we're going to want to make it be able to be seen above all the other roofs from the other buildings. So to do that, we're not only going to go up by 1 block at a time like this, but instead we're going to raise it up 2 at a time like this. So as you can see, it's going to be much taller than if we would have done something a little more simple like that. So I think it's going to make it look a lot better in the end. So we're going to do this. And for this first roof, this is probably going to end up being the biggest one, and it's going to extend all the way to the back and then sort of intersect with those. So we're just going to make this go up until we reach in the middle. In fact, let's see how tall we have to make this middle one to make it meet in the end. So once it reaches there, you're just going to do 2 more on that one. So it looks like this, and then that's all you're going to want to do. And then you can delete this one, leave these. We'll probably end up placing a big window in there later, but you can leave that for now. And then we'll connect these to finish it off. And you're going to do the exact same roof shape right over here on the back, and it's going to be started on this block right here, and then the other one will be on this side. So I'll just bring those up too so we can remember. And then what this extra bit right here, that's just going to be a smaller shaped roof, and we can probably have this one honestly just be the, I guess, less slope style. So it's going to be much smaller, but it is going to add a sort of cool effect in the end. So this is where that other roof is going to be, where we have the same shape as that. And then lastly, we're going to have 2 more of these. And these are not going to be as tall as those, but they'll definitely be a lot bigger than that one in the back. So for these, we're going to start by going up 2 like this. And it's pretty much just going to be the same pattern. The only difference is it's going to be a lot shorter. Maybe not too much shorter, but you know what I mean. So we'll go up like this, and then once we reach that block right there, we'll start a pillar in the middle like this. And I guess we can skip those 2 right there since we usually don't leave them in. And then that's how tall it's going to be. So really, I think it's only 1 or 2 blocks shorter. Yep, 2 blocks shorter. So that's good. We're going to have a little bit of difference in our roof. It's going to have a lot of different angles and, I guess, shapes and sizes. So that's really good. I like that. And then our other roof that's going to be that exact same size will just be over here on the opposite end of the building. And, of course, it's going to be all the same blocks. So you guys should be able to do that without a problem. So after placing all those little triangle shapes in there, I should say big triangle shapes, you should end up with something like this. And I have noticed that judging by the size that this is sort of reached, we are going to need to do a bit of editing to how big the tower was. And I think I'm actually going to move it out farther to the front of the build just so it can actually be noticed. So before we do that, what we're going to do is connect all of these roofs with some cross beams. And for those of you who have been watching me for, I guess, at least the past few weeks, you probably know what I'm talking about already. But for those of you who don't, it's really just a simple thing that I like to do to make it easier to place in most of the roofing blocks, especially the hay. Let me just demonstrate this really quick if you guys don't mind. So if I grab this really quick and place it down, it's really not going to face the way I want it to. I don't want it to face that way, but you can see no matter where you place it, it's always usually going to tend to face a different angle that you might not want. So by placing in all of these, and especially before I go on, placing them in the air is even tougher. So if you try to do something like that, it's just impossible to get them to face a certain way. So that's why I do these little cross beams, and they're really quite simple. I probably only need to show you this part, but that's what you're going to do and just connect them. And then of course for the tops of the roof, it's just going to extend all the way. And then these ones are going to actually end up crossing in the middle to sort of create an X. So now the rest of the build from here is really going to be quite simple up until we get to the tower. So what we're going to do right now is start off by sort of outlining our roof with the spruce wood blocks. So to start this off, what we're going to do is create an overhang like this on the right side, and then from there we're going to start working our way up. And what we're going to do is create an overhang all the way to the top, and then all these blocks on the right, you can go ahead and delete those. Those are just to make it easier to sort of make our overhang. So we're going to start by placing that full block, then on top of the full block we will do a stair, and then from here on out it's pretty much just going to be that same pattern all the way to the top. So it's just going to be full block like that, then a stair, and then once again full block, and stair, if I can switch to it, there we go. So, and then full block, stair, and then that should be it. So now we can start placing in our Viking design, which many of you have probably mastered by now. So for that, it's going to be a full block like this, and then on top of that, we'll do an upside down stair, and we'll do the same thing on the other side, and then on top of these, we'll do 2 upright stairs like this. And you can keep it simple like that, or you can go the extra step and place in some crazy things like this, especially since this is I guess a bigger, more important build. You definitely might want to do things like this. However, for this build, since there's really going to be a huge ass tower on the front, I don't think we're going to be able to see this one, because the tower is going to come up this high and sort of be the main sort of viewing point, I guess you could call it. But this isn't all we're going to do. As you can see, this looks quite ugly, to be honest. So to sort of make it more sturdy and visually appealing, we can start adding some of these upside down stairs beneath all of those, and you can see that really sort of makes it look a lot more detailed. And then it's going to be the same thing down the other side, and it's going to be the same exact style of, I guess, outline roof thingy. Not sure what you call it, but it's going to be the same thing on all of the other roofs, just a bit easier, I guess, since they are quite smaller. And then after you guys have completed that, I'll show you how to place in all the hay, and then from there we'll move on to the tower. All of the roof outlines are complete now, so I'm going to fly around really quick just so you guys can see it and make sure you got it correct. We only have a few more steps before we can move on to the tower, so that should be fun. Before I go any further though, I will mention that you do need to fill in all of these open gap sections. So to do that, and we also are going to be putting windows in those, by the way. But anyways, to do this, what we're going to do is just keep filling in above all of the spruce wood planks that we already placed in until all of this is covered. And then I'll show you guys how to carve out the windows in just a second. But one more thing that I do need to mention is that you do need to place in these little stairs across the bottom as well. So I'm guessing on your guys' it probably looks empty, so just make sure you fill in all of the gaps like that. And then on the top, what we're going to do to make this look a little bit nicer is just grab our stairs and sort of fill in all the way across. And then you may notice that I've placed this half slab where all of the roofs sort of meet. And once you get there, that's where you're going to want to sort of switch directions with your stairs, just to make it look a bit more nice. And then now that all of those big open spaces have been filled up, we can start moving on to making some big, giant, nice windows. So for on the front, what we're going to do is just carve out these two and then just sort of work our way up like this. So it's going to be a backwards L, and then we'll do the opposite on the other side. So it'll be something like this. And then we can move on to the right of the build. And by the way, if you don't like the way these windows turn out, you can adjust them accordingly to your liking. And also, one more thing that I might note is that above these, you might want to do something, just something simple like the little stairs right there, or you can go extreme and add like a bunch more detail if you want to, but this is just sort of bare bones. So, and then say on this window right here, as I said before, sort of in the beginning of the video, I did want to sort of round this window out, although I'm not quite sure we can do that. So what we're going to do is just do something quite simple. Something as simple as maybe just raising it up 2 more blocks, and I think that looks quite good. It is a bit boxy, but I still quite like it. I just remembered that we're going to have a tower on the front, so we didn't necessarily need these windows, but I guess they can just look good sitting there for now. But our next step is to sort of move on to filling in the roof, and this is going to be really simple as long as you can remember a few things. First of all, I just want to mention that you guys should never do this where you have all the hay facing the same way, especially since I know most of you guys are probably building in the default texture pack right now, and the hay bales look bad enough as they are. So what you want to do is mix them up as much as possible. So you can have maybe like 1 row facing that way, but other than that, try to keep them facing a bunch of different directions, not like random or anything, but get them so they're in a pattern. So say along the bottom row, what I usually like to do is have all these face the same way, like this, so you can sort of see these lines going up and down, and then on the corners, I will have them face straight up. And then for each one, sort of on the roof outline, I'm going to have those poke out the same direction all the way up, and I'm just sort of creating my pattern as I go. And then I'll fix that really quick. And then for all of the blocks in the middle, what I'm going to do with those is just all have them face out towards me, so you can see on the outlines of the roof. So I guess just like the very edge, you can see all the lines, and they're sort of facing a generally same direction. But for all of the ones in the middle, you can sort of see the clear spot of the hay without the little wires on them. So that's just my pattern all the way up, and then as I mentioned, all the corners are going to be facing the same way like this as you go up. They'll just be facing straight up to the top. And now we can see the completed roof. However, it is looking a bit plain, so we're going to be adding some more details to that to mix it up just a little bit later in the video. So now we can move on to the tower portion, which should hopefully make this build really stand out and just actually look like a church in the end. Right now it's pretty much just like a huge building. It doesn't look too much like a church, but I'm sure we can fix that in just a minute. So for this thing, you may notice this red wool. That's just sort of signifying the center of the tower. And we have one on that side, one on this side. So on the inside is going to be this exact same thing, just pretty much mirrored on the other side of that red wool. So for these blocks, what we're going to do is start by placing one here, and then we'll skip one like that. So there's going to be that block in the corner. This is going to be cobblestone, and then the one in the middle of these is going to be cobblestone. Then we'll switch back to the spruce wood, place one there, then switch back to cobblestone, place one here, and then switch back to the spruce wood to finish that off right there. Now, the amount you're going to raise these up is going to be all the way until you reach, where is it? All the way until you get to here. So once you reach those sticky ID bits, you can stop, and then we're going to sort of change how big the tower is. So you can do that with each of those. So now it's going to be time to start our smaller section to the tower. So we're going to start by placing a block here, and then we'll have to place two more right next to the cobblestone ones, just to sort of give ourselves a way to place these two blocks in. And then to finish it off, we'll place one here, and you can start to see how this is going to be pretty much the same pattern as the other one, just in a smaller version. And you can also notice how by placing one here, that block right there is going to be the exact same as this one right here. It's just mirrored on the other side. And then if you want sort of a reference point of where the middle is, it's just going to be that block right there. So for these little empty blocks in the middle, those are going to be filled in with cobblestone. Same with this one, and same with this over here. And then we're just going to go ahead for reference purposes and make the rest of the tower over here on the inside. So to do that, we're going to have to place in a block here and a block there. And for now, we can just go ahead and carve these out. And this block right there, the, I guess, counterpart to it is going to be this one. And we can also place these two, and then we'll throw in our cobblestone really quick. And that's going to be how you do that. So there's really no need to delete this wall until the very end. So we're just going to extend this one up as far as we need to go. I'm thinking we'll probably extend it up until this block, maybe. I think that could be our best bet. So if we extend it up to there, that should be pretty good. And then we can start bringing it back out again. And then we'll make the actual bell tower portion of it, where we're going to have some room for either just a bell up there or for people to actually look out at the scenery and stuff, which could be quite cool as well. And I've gone ahead and removed this sort of top roof portion just so you guys can better see what we're doing and working with. But for our next step, what we're going to do is start to, I guess, bring our tower back out so it's a bit more thick at the top. So to do that, we're going to place in some sticky addy bits here, and we'll do the same thing on pretty much every side. I'm not sure that there's any need to do it on this area, but we'll place them in just in case, and they're actually already there for us, which is perfect. And then we'll end up placing two more in here, and then we can also do some on the corners. Since most people are going to be looking at it from down at this angle, what I'm going to do is have them both face out to these sides. And then for this one right here, we can have them face sort of the same direction, just out to the left and right of our building. And then that should be all we need for now. So what we're going to do to sort of strengthen our tower and make it look a little more detailed, we're going to be adding, I guess, a lot of stuff and little tiny bits that'll really, I guess, give it that extra style. So we're going to begin by making a little roof right here. So we can start by going 1, 2 right there, and we'll do the same thing on this side. So 1, 2, and then we'll just keep placing blocks all the way around like this. And then we can also do some another section down. So just continue around like that. And then, as I mentioned, for the roof, you can always add some extra patterns to these, such as maybe making all of these face a little bit of a different direction. So from certain angles, you can see certain parts of it. And this really just makes it look a little bit better in the end. However, to be honest, that looks like garbage right now. So what we're going to do is add a little bit of an outline to this roof. So to start off with, we'll just go ahead and place in a spruce wood stair here, and we'll do the same thing over on this side. And then from there, we can just sort of start placing in our spruce wood slabs like this all the way around. And that should be good for now. However, below that is looking a bit weird. So to sort of fix that, what I'm going to do is place in some spruce wood stairs wherever we have these little spruce wood pillars like this, just to sort of mask those. And then wherever we have the cobblestone pillars, what I'm going to do is grab my cobblestone stairs. Hopefully this is making sense now. So I'll place in the cobblestone stairs and put those there. And this actually does add a cool shape to the bottom of this tower as well, which I quite like. So we'll place one more in there, and I think that looks quite nice. Really is a lot better than what it was before. So from there, you can also add just a whole bunch of detail. If you guys want, you don't even have to really follow me at this point. You can go off on your own and add as many different types of detail as you know how to. So I'm going to start off by doing these two things, and then I'm going to add in my little detailed pillar design, which you guys may have seen before. So it's going to start off by being the 2 cobblestone walls like this, and then below these I'm going to grab my stairs, or I should say above these, but below the little sticky addy bits. So I'll grab my stairs and place these 2 in, so it all sort of fits together quite perfectly, to be honest. And then I'll place these 2 in. And you can also do these on these sides as well, but you don't have to. Another thing that you can do for some extra detail is just add either a regular fence pillar right here, or you could mix it up and go with a cobblestone wall. But instead of just doing the fences, I have come to the conclusion that doing a bit of a mixture does look a bit better. So what I did was do 2 cobblestone walls on the bottom, and then 2 cobblestone walls on the top, and then 2 fences in the middle, and really that looked quite nice in my opinion. So what I'm going to do now is just extend the tower up just a little bit. So what we're going to do is go 1, 2, 3 on top of each one of these blocks with all of these materials once again. After that, what we can do is, as you see right here, these sticky addy bits, we're just going to continue those in the exact same directions on this section as well. And then from here, we can actually start to make the living space, or not living space, but the space where the people can walk around, which should be probably the most fun and interesting, because after that we can start working on our roof. So for this one, we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4 on all of these. So we'll continue this all the way around, just like this. Now before we add the roof, what I've noticed is adding these things does look really cool, and it also adds a lot of support to the build. So to place one of these in, we're going to go up 1 block from these sticky addy bits, place an upside down stair right there, and then above that stair, we're going to place an upright stair, and then to the left and right of that, we will do 2 upside down stairs underneath those sticky addy bits of the spruce wood. So that's going to be all the way around on all 3 sides. No need to really do it on the back. So now that we have those complete, we can start working on our roof. Now for this, we're going to place a block like that above in the center of all 4 of these. And now we're going to move on to the next step. As you notice right here, I've connected each one of these with a crossbeam. So we're going to do that all the way around, and then to complete this thing, we're just going to do a little cross shape with our oak wood logs on the very top like this. Now to sort of decorate this a lot more, we're going to do what we did with the main roof section of our build, and that's going to be outlining most of this with our spruce wood planks as we go around. And for this, it's really going to be a quite simple shape, but in the end it is going to look quite good and a lot better than if we wouldn't have done this. Since it would just be spruce wood logs, that would be quite ugly. But let's see, so we have this, and now what we can do is add in some of these upside down stairs, and for this one in the middle, make sure and face it this way. But as you can see, that's really not too big, so what I'm going to recommend doing is actually place a upside down stair right there as well, and I think that could look really good in the end. So we'll do some more of these, and you can continue these all the way around until you get to here, and that'll kind of leave you room if you want to place some more on these sections as well. And that just kind of makes the roof overhang just a bit more than it would. After testing some different stuff out, I found that kind of making these just 2 in the middle instead of bringing it all the way out to the edges looked a lot better in the end. And I think it's going to really create a cool look once we're done with this thing. So our next step is going to be to place in our Viking style designs, which is just going to be a full block with 2 upside down stairs on either side of it, and then on top of those upside down stairs is where we're going to place the upright stairs. So you're going to do those all the way around. Then we can grab our hay and start filling in the rest of this. So on the top, we're just going to do these all the way across like this, creating an X shape. And then on all of those corners, what we can do is place a block facing straight up in each one of them. And then the rest of them will just face out towards us like this. So we get sort of the clear section of the hay without all the lines and those wires. And so we'll do this all the way around. And then on top of each one of these, for the very top of this thing, what we're going to do is grab our spruce wood stairs and just sort of work our way in with these, facing towards the center. And if you want to, on the center, you can either do a spruce wood half slab, or if you want to do some sort of flag, or maybe like a cross on the top, or some sort of Nordic design, that might be cool as well. You could do sort of a raised section like this, and then either put the flagpole or your design on top of this. But for now, what I think I'm going to do is just leave it with the half slab, and then I'll grab my stairs, and just continue my way in with these. And then also we did skip this section, so I'll fill those in really quick. And then one more thing that I may mention is that if you want to, you can sort of round this roof out by placing some of these extra blocks in the corners. And now finally, for the last steps of the tower, what we're going to do is sort of strengthen the bottom just a little bit. So to do that, we're going to go up 1, 2 with each one of these cobblestone blocks on the corners right there, and we'll also do the same thing over on this side. Then we can switch over to our cobblestone stairs and place one of these facing inwards towards that cobblestone pillar, just to sort of round them out a little bit. And then for the spots right next to the doorway, since that now looks a little bit too flat, what we're going to do is grab our cobblestone walls. We'll place one on either side on the bottom, then we'll skip a gap of 1, moving our way up. So we'll do that, and then in the gap we'll do a fence block like this, and then on the very top of each one of those we can do a stone stair. And lastly, what I'm going to do before I go really quickly, I'm going to fly around and add a little bit more detail. So I'm going to add a few more windows, most likely a few more of these little mini roofs, just to sort of increase the amount of detail and give you guys a lot more ideas of what you could add to your church. Because really this is just bare bones, sort of the bare minimum of what you could do on your church. But as I said, this roof is just really looking plain, so I kind of wanted to make this thing the best of the best and just give it as much as it can take, I guess. So before I end this, I do want to do a quick fly around just so you guys can see the finished product and maybe make sure you didn't miss anything along the way. But overall, I just want to give you guys a huge thanks for all the support so far. Hopefully this video didn't take too long. I'm not sure how long it's going to be in the end. It probably took me like 3 hours to build or something. But if I'm lucky, I'll be able to cut the video down to like 20 or 30 minutes. That shouldn't be too bad. But yeah, hopefully you guys did enjoy the video. Make sure to let me know in the comments what you want to see next time. Or if you have any ideas for this interior, which is probably humongous. Yeah, look at this. Oh my gosh, that's tons of space. So this should be really fun to do. But yeah, and then one more thing before I go. If you want to get a head start for the interior, you can begin by maybe deleting all of these little extra wood blocks. I'm not sure those are going to be necessary for the interior, although they might want to leave. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, that's that. So I guess upcoming news, Witcher 3 is coming out. So that's going to be freaking awesome to play. I'm going to do a Let's Play on it, but not only that, I think by playing it, we'll probably get a lot of ideas for builds and whatnot. And if you guys are like a fan of the Witcher series, and you want me to do a certain build from The Witcher 3, let me know and I'll try it out, because I think that could be really fun. I know people have tried like Skyrim builds in the past, but that game's quite old, so I don't really want to do anything from there. But Witcher 3, I think it comes out on the 19th. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the 19th. So if any of you guys decided to get it, or if you see in my Let's Play a build that you want to maybe try in Minecraft, definitely let me know, and that would be like a cool thing to try. We could even do like a whole series on maybe like a Witcher 3 style town. Just some ideas generate in my brain, but yeah, that could be cool. So thanks again for watching, guys, and as always, I will see you in the next one.